Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be taking a look at SPY and a little bit of QQQ. Yes, I know that's new, but I did take one QQQ trade today with the team because SPY was absolutely choppy. So we're going to be reviewing SPY today on July 5th and discussing all the possible trades there were, just a couple of misconceptions I like to go over and things like that. So without any further ado, let's get into the SPY and QQQ recap. So we're going to start with SPY, and then I'm going to discuss when I started looking at QQQ and the trade that I took. But mainly, as always, we mainly trade SPY. So the market opened today at around 442, just 10 cents, about 15 cents below that. And we started moving up very quickly. Now, whenever the market moves up extremely quickly, it may be particularly hard to get your entry in, because when the market is moving quickly, you very rarely have very clean pullbacks. It just continues up, and if it does pull back, it pulls back to just a random area on the chart, and you don't get a good entry playing my style. During those scenarios, what you don't want to do is FOMO in. And during this run up in the morning, it was very easy to do that. So my suggestion in those scenarios is to, again, tell yourself, what are the rules that I trade by? And if you trade by those rules, you won't be FOMOing into these trades. Simple as that. So a great example of this is right after we opened, we had these four green candles, and then we started pulling back right here. All right, we did have this pre-market resistance level sort of around this 442.29 level, but this candle came within 5 cents of our level. So this is already considered a one candle pullback. We already pulled back to this level on a red candle. We came within 5 cents. I consider anything within 5 cents basically touching that level. That's kind of how I like to play. So that's just something you need to be aware. And this is why taking this trade would not be good. Now, this trade would have turned out great. If you entered calls right here, you would have had a very successful trade. However, we play by rules, not by the outcome. So a different time you could have taken this, it could have been awful, and you could have, it could have been an unsuccessful trade. Just something to keep in mind. We kept moving up, and, at this point I realized that we were pretty overextended. I also knew that today was FOMC at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I knew that we are likely to either chop around in this zone or just kind of have this very slow move up. Both of those happened. We had a very slow move up while being choppy. During this whole time while I was live trading in the Discord, I mentioned that this is not a time to take anything. So at this point in time, I did direct my attention to QQQ. So let me show you what I took and with the group on QQQ. What I notice is sometimes when the market is choppy, especially before FOMC, if SPY isn't doing well, QQQ is. I took calls right here and alerted it with the group. We all went through the trade and ended up being a very successful trade. I mean, nothing too special, but, it was pretty nice, especially after this candle where I got all out. QQQ is often better resistant to choppy days, especially before FOMC. I don't know exactly why, but maybe because of the stocks that make up QQQ are more resistant to the sort of news of FOMC. So what happened here is we broke above, we retested, and made a move to the upside. It was a pretty solid trade. The reason I call this a lotto is, first of all, because the volume was not working out. The volume on the candle that initially pushed us through was less than the candle that retested after. So that's just automatically a lotto for me. So yeah, that's kind of the main reason. But this is what I did while SPY was chopping around. So going back to our SPY recap, that's the only part I'm going to talk about in QQQ because, I just took that when I saw that SPY was chopping and I saw that there was an opportunity. So, we kind of start chopping around here. in this sort of zone, you really just want to be careful, and you really don't want to be taking too much of anything, to be honest. Just one misconception that a lot of people have using my style, and if you're new here and you don't know anything about my style, make sure to join the Discord. We talk all about that. I have a PDF. I also have mentorship videos on the channel right here that I'm also working on putting out the next couple. So if you are unaware of our main strategies, then make sure to join the Discord first. But yeah, anyways, right here we had a good pullback with 99k volume, but we had a 1 candle pullback back to this area right here at 443.41, which is this previous support. Whenever we have a 1 candle pullback, I do not enter that because I find that 1 candle pullbacks go against you more times than not. As you can see in the morning, we did have a 1 candle pullback, and it did end up going in the direction that you would want it to go. Later in the day, at this point, we retested and then we went up. We did not continue down as you would want it to. So that's just something to understand. This is why I don't trade 1 candle pullbacks. At this point, we started chopping around, especially up here are candles with massive wicks. At this point, I am not trading anything. All right. There are break and retests here. There are small trend lines, but during a choppy market like this, I am not looking to take that. All right. So, moving ahead to trend lines, there's something I want to discuss a little earlier in the chart. We did have a two-way street setup. We had the trend line 1, 2, 3, and then we broke through, and the two-way street setup is a break and then a retest of the trend line. This looks like a pretty solid retest right here for puts to the downside. The reason I did not take this trade and the reason I didn't mention it in the group as a good trade is because we were in a choppy zone. We had this move up, and this was basically chop city. I didn't think anything good would follow through here, all right? So that's just something to keep in mind whenever you're taking any sort of trade with my system or any other system. Right here, I wanted to, all this, there's really nothing going on here. All these little trades that you could have possibly taken, all these micro resistance levels, I just don't recommend it, especially between these two red lines right here. I noticed there was a lot of chop in there. Once we kind of broke out of here, we retested this previous support level as a resistance. This was a very previous level. This happened not too long ago, which is why I was even considering it. I mean, this is why I'm even talking about it right now. I did not take this, but this could be a pretty nice lotto entry for the downside. All right, lotto put entry. Breaking, we have 52k volume. On the retest candle, we have 30k volume. All right, it's all right. It's a lotto entry. We have a defined support. We do have still a bunch of chop, which is why it's a lotto. And also the fact that this candle was at 455. This was at 456. So this was technically, you could call it a 1 candle pullback. The reason that I may call it a 2 candle pullback, there was a lot of different levels around here that we could have technically found support and retested. So I'm a little more wobbly on this one. But again, this would be a lotto trade if you do take it. All right. So yeah. This right here later in the day was honestly one of the only trades that I saw after looking at the chart over that was a perfect trade. I mean, we have a clear support level with a very nice change of direction, and it happened right before our dump. We had a massive 303k volume dump, and then we retested. We came to 443.01. This line is at 443.04. That's within 3 cents, so pretty close. You would have entered right here for the downside. That's a perfect trade. So just following my system, if you did not trade any of this and you were still sitting and watching the chart, you could have taken this. Now, do I recommend trading all day? No. Today might have been one of those days where in the morning session there was practically nothing. Like apart from maybe this, and maybe if you decided to, take a lotto trend line trade here with a couple of these, little trades right here, you should not have taken anything before like 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's just the reality. Some days you're not going to have a trade. So that's that. There was one other thing I wanted to mention before this. I have this white line here marking the start of FOMC. I do not trade FOMC, and after FOMC, even after the news has settled a little, I do not trade. This is way too risky. It's basically gambling. There are no patterns that happen during FOMC, really. I mean, there's a lot of people who claim out there that first it goes down, then it goes up, and then, you know, buy the opposite of the initial move or whatever. I don't do any of that. I have my system, and FOMC is just not part of it. So I have this big white line creating that barrier. But there was one other thing I wanted to mention. This right here was probably a trade that I saw that, you know, it could have been a trade a lot of people would take. And I think it was one of those trades that just ended up not working out. We did break through with 104K volume. This candle had 63K volume, and we came up. Now, the thing that you can see here, why this was more likely to fail than a different pullback, is this pullback is not necessarily very clean. We broke up, we started pulling back with this red candle, but we continued up a little. This is not the, you know, the craziest scenario of that candle formation happening, but still, it's a small indication that we are likely to come down. What I like to see with my pullbacks is I like to see these candles, and then I want to see a green candle, I'm talking for calls, then a quick red candle, and then I want us to move down. I don't want us to see go like this, then chop like this, and then come down. If this does happen, and it's a sort of straight chop right here, I could still possibly take it. All right? So this is, in my opinion, more of a straight chop, so I probably would have thought of taking this. So again, if you did take this, this would have been a pretty unfortunate trade, to be honest, because this next candle closed all the way down here, but you would not get stopped out right here. When you see a candle that's continuously flushing, you would probably get stopped out somewhere around this level. Yes, it would be a pretty significant loss. To be honest, if I took this, I probably would have wiped a lot of my gains from my QQQ trade and a lot of these other trades. This was an unfortunate one if you did take it. But again, if you do choose not to take any of these trades with not a clean pullback, you can sort of avoid that. You know, so yeah. Yeah, that kind of covers SPY today. Again, pretty choppy day. I know I say this quite often, but this week is a very choppy day. I didn't even make a recap video on Monday because it was just simply way too choppy. There was just nothing to really discuss. So yeah. But anyways, thank you guys all for tuning in. I hope you guys find some value in this videos, and if you do, I would really appreciate if you guys could smash a quick like, and also subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, do be sure to join the Discord, because that's where we live trade every single day for the morning session from around 9:30 to about 11 EST. So make sure you guys join the Discord, like the video, and I will see you guys all in the next video, probably tomorrow. Peace out.